Hey everybody, how's it going? Just thought I'd come online and talk about the subject about emotions, friend or foe. For many years I based everything on how I felt, my emotions, um, good or bad. And then I started to realize that, I have to stop doing that. Have you ever got those times in your life where you just don't feel like getting out of bed? You know, you don't want to go to work or sometimes maybe you don't even want to be a parent. You don't want to be an uncle. You don't want to be a friend. You don't want to do anything. You just want to lock yourself um, in your apartment, in your house, and not talk to anybody. You know, lately I've been thinking a lot about that and how emotions play a big part in um, our everyday functional lives, and sometimes they even control and dictate, a lot of things that are going on in our life. And I've learned that I've had to, check that and take a moment and think about whether this things that I'm going through are legit or am I allowing my emotions to control the way I feel, the way I act, the way I treat people, the way I conduct my business. I say to a lot of people, if we based everything on our emotions, we probably wouldn't even get out of bed. So I've learned, over the years, there have been times where I've had injuries, like blowing a shoulder or a bicep muscle, and because my work's physical, I could have just stayed in bed and not did anything. But I have a responsibility to my customers, to the people that work for me, that I need to keep going and get the job done. And sometimes we might not be able to do that. Maybe we've got an injury that's kept us in bed for a while. But we've always got to find a way to still fulfill our duties, whether it's being a mother, father, sister, brother, uncle, aunt, whatever. We still have responsibilities to play that role in our life, whatever that looks like. As parents, we have a responsibility to take care of our kids and make sure they're nurtured and loved and protected. And there are some parents out there that don't do that, don't want to do that. Maybe I don't know if it's not so much want to do it, but they just get irresponsible and they forget about their responsibilities. And sometimes they turn to drugs or alcohol to deal with all their pain and stuff that they're going through. And then I find that they start more and more they do that more and more their kids are suffering. Their jobs are suffering, their relationships are suffering because they're not being able to deal with their emotions in a healthy, productive way. Or you make a comment, well, I used to be fine, now I'm not. I just feel like giving up. I'm never going to change, or I'm never going to be able to quit drinking or doing drugs because this is who I am. And, excuse me. So you just give up. Instead of looking at the situation or the problem or the emotion. And it's good to look at our emotions. It's okay to feel sad. Well, why am I feeling sad? Or why am I angry today? Or why am I disappointed? And take the time to look at it. And if you can't figure out, and if it's starting to affect your life and your livelihood or your parenting or whatever it is, then you need to check in, go talk to somebody, go talk to a counselor or somebody you trust and deal with those emotions before it cripples you, where you get to the point where you're debilitated and you can't do anything except for self-medicate yourself or whatever it is you do, eat or whatever. So, as long as we recognize those things, but a lot of times we don't. We just go through life, feeling wild, nothing's going to change. Then we get down on ourselves. We do good for a while, then we fall back into the same way of thinking. And I try to encourage people, and I say to them, is it working? Is isolating yourself and not talking to somebody or beating yourself up, is it working? What can you do to change that? Because we get to the point where we're so used to doing something that it becomes habit forming. So if you know that you need to change something, what is something that you can do different? Okay, like for instance, you isolate yourself. You don't talk to anybody. You just go to work, do your job, come home, and you close the door and you don't talk to anybody. Is that doing you any good? How can I change it? What does it look like to do something different? And so I say to people, okay, so now what you do, you pick up the phone, you talk to somebody, or you get out and mingle with people, be around people that are going through the same thing you're going through. And you might say, oh, wow, I thought I was the only one. And then the more you do that, the more it becomes, like I've said in my other videos, a way of life. And you don't allow your emotions to control you in a negative way and mess up your whole life. And I think that's the number one problem for most of us, is that we allow our emotions to take control of our lives and dictate the way we feel in a negative way, how we deal with things and people and life decisions that we have to make. We're all going to go through things in life that's not fair and we don't understand. But we still got to get up in the morning and thank the good Lord that we got life and try to find something good. Say something that you're thankful for. Otherwise, if we don't do these things, then our emotions are going to be all over the place. And I've had to learn that in my life for the last couple of weeks, dealing with my business and things like that I know that need to get changed. And I need to make some changes in my life so that I don't have to deal with all the chaos that I'm dealing with. So what does that look like for me? I just know that there are times, for instance, I just want to stay home. I don't want to go for coffee with a friend, or I know I should go to church and I don't go to church. And or I hear a message and it really touches my heart and I don't want to deal with it, so I leave. Like I used to do that and just go to the beer parlor and drown my sorrows. So if we know that we need to attend a meeting, or we need to attend a group, or we need to go see our counselor, or we need to go to church to be blessed and hear what God has to say to us, then we need to do it. Sitting at home feeling sorry for yourself and all that, it's not going to change anything. It's just going to make it worse because you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. So is it working, you got to ask yourself? Or am I going to change it? Because we're the only ones that can do that. We can rely on nobody else because, ultimately you got, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So I'm just going to make this a short one. So my challenge to you, or my encouragement to you, is to sit down and ask yourself this simple question. Are my emotions my friend or my foe? Foe mean enemy. Am I handling my emotions in the right, healthy way? So I just leave that with you. And here's my challenge to you. If you think that you aren't handling them right, go find out how you can handle them right. Or send me a message on this site. And I would love to correspond with you and do whatever I can to help you to get to that place where you start making healthy decisions and deal with your emotions in a healthy way. So that's my challenge to you, is to ask yourself that simple question: are my emotions my friend or my foe? So I'll leave you with that. And like I said, if you have any questions or comments, please comment me. If there's anything I could do to help you, just leave an email address or whatever, or we can correspond on YouTube or whatever it is. And I'd love to give you some ideas of what you can do. So God bless you, and may you feel God's peace and loving arms around you. Take care.